This video is going to talk you through some of the basics that we've looked at in Visual Basic, and therefore allow you some revision prior to your next lesson. So far we've looked at the form in the middle. We noticed that the form can be changed size by dragging in the corners, or we can add tools onto the form and alter their properties, which are this side of the window. We started with buttons and labels, so that's what we're going to begin with in this little video, and talk you through how we change the properties of each of these and the coding we've done so far. So choose a tool, for example a button. We click on this once and we create this button on the form. Now I'm going to create a small program that has two buttons where each of the buttons displays a message. We're going to say a happy message and a sad message. So I'll put one button on the form. On the right hand side you'll see the button's properties have appeared. We can change these back to the form properties by clicking on the form, but we want the button's properties. To change what this says to the user, we change the text property. So I'm going to change this to happy message. If I now click off, you'll see happy message appear in that button. I'm going to give that button a name. This is the name that it's known to in the program. So this starts with the letters BTN, and I'm just going to put BTN happy. I'm going to put a second button in here, and we're going to call that BTN say not happy. Notice if I use two words, the best thing to do is to start each new word with a capital letter. For example, BTN in lowercase, capital N for not, capital H for happy. The text property then is what is displayed to the user, and this is not a happy message. Okay, click off that and there we've got our two buttons. If we want to change the background colour of the form, we can click on the form and you'll see now the form's properties appear here. I'm going to go up to back colour. Notice the American spelling of back colour. I'm going to choose a colour. Okay, we can change the title of the form as well, just like we changed these by changing the text property. So here is the text property, and I'm just going to put output message. Next thing we do is put a label on. I'm going to search for a label. Here is a label. I'm going to draw that on there. Now by default a label sets itself with an auto size. If you scroll up to the top, the label's got the default name of label 1. All labels need the prefix of LBL. And we're going to put output. Again, notice I've put a capital O because it's a new word, output. I'm actually going to take the auto size from being true, I'm going to turn that to false, and that creates that label as the same size that I originally drew it out as. If you want, you can alter the font as well. So I clicked on font, there's three little dots there, select on that, and when this loads, here we go, I can choose the font. So I'm going to choose something like Cooper Black, so size 14, and you'll see that changes. If I want to take that label 1 out of there, this is what's displayed to the user, therefore it is the text property. You can change the font's colour using the for colour, so I could actually change this to say dark red. Okay, so that is all set up, ready to add our code. We've got the text of the form, we've got the text of BTN happy, and the text of BTN not happy. Now that we want to put the code, we double click on where or what we want to click on when we want it to do what we want it to do. For example, if I just run this program, and here's the program. If I wanted something to happen when I click on that button there, I have to double click on that button to create the code. If I wanted it to happen when I click there, that's where I double click. If I wanted it to happen when I click on the label there, I have to double click on that. So I double click on happy message and it automatically generates the code for me. Basically what this code is saying is when I click on the button called happy, it will do whatever is in between the private and the end sub. Whenever I click on that button happy, it does this. Now we're going to take our label. As you start to type, you'll notice it appear. You can just press the tab key on the keyboard and it'll finish off typing it for you. I'm going to change the text property of that label to equal I am in a good mood. And I can put any text in there that I like and surround it by the double quotes. You'll notice the text turns red, and that means it's actual text. How we read the code, we're going to take that text, equals means we're going to put it inside the text property of the label. If I run that program now, you'll see here's my program running. If I now click on that, it's now taken that text, I'm in a good mood, and it's put it inside the text of the label. We can now go back to the not happy message and do exactly the same thing again. lb output.text equals I am not in a good mood. Now this could be any text that you like, but just to show how this works, we've now got two what are called procedures. The first one says when I click on the button called happy, I'm going to do this bit of code. So I'm going to take I'm in a good mood, I'm going to place that into the text property of the label. If you click on the button that's not happy, it's going to take that text and it's going to place it in the text of the label. So now I can alternate between my two messages. Everything to do with controls, a control being a label, a button, works in the same way. If you wanted to, you can change the text of the button. So button happy dot text equals, and let's change this to extremely happy. It's going to take that text, put it onto the text property of the button. So now you'll see this work. If I click happy message, it's then replaced the text on there with that new text that I've entered. This works in exactly the same way as if we wanted to change colour. If we wanted to change the colour of that label, lbl output dot the property, in this case back colour, equals, and then we get a list. So we could change the colour to, let's change it to black. We're not happy, we're in a bad mood, and if we run that now, not happy, it changes background colour to black. If you want to change the form's colour, the form is always known as me. So we do me.backColor equals colour.black, and that will change the form's colour as well. Run that and we can see that working. Now if I click on happy message, it doesn't change the colour back. We would need to add extra code to make it change that colour back. So we can change the colour of the label, back colour equals, and we'll just take a green colour, dark olive green, that will do, and me dot back colour, and we'll have it the same, colour dot dark olive green. So now we can see we've got several lines of code. When I click on happy, it changes the label colour, the back colour, and that button's text and this label's text it's doing 4 different processes. If I click on this one, it's doing 3 different processes. So that is a revision on what we have looked at with controls so far with buttons, labels, properties.